Careers in Data Alumni panel, which is going to be hosted by Gemma O'Donoghue, who is our International Careers Advisor. And first of all, I'd like to say hello to Verad, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please.
Yes, surely. Hi, everyone. Good to see a bunch of newly joined or probably just about to be graduated students from Southampton University, and hello to Naomi and Gemma as well. Yes, it feels like a long time ago since I graduated, but it's not really. It's been only 1.5 years. Myself, Verad, I studied business analytics and management science. Half of my coursework was shadowed by COVID-19, unfortunately, but it was still a great experience at Southampton University. I'm currently working at EDF Energy as a development analyst. I'll get into the details later on, but that's in short and sweet. Hello to everyone.
Hello. Thank you. And Anette, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Naomi. Hi, everyone. Hi, Gemma. And hi, everyone.
Hi.
It's great to be joining here. It's been just I remember being in one of the calls recently because I just graduated last year and one of the COMSIS events and all these calls. So yes, I studied my master's in business analytics and finance, and I'm currently working as a data analyst, strategic projects at University of Winchester. Just a brief summary. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you. And Abishek, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Gemma. Hi, Naomi. Hi, Verad and Aniket. It feels quite weird actually to be speaking in one of these sessions. Having attended a lot of other university sessions where most we used to be on mute, it feels kind of different today. To give a short brief about myself, I have recently graduated from business analytics and management science. I'm currently working as an assistant manager at Deloitte in credit risk and modeling team. And yeah, just it feels like, yesterday we were on the other side. It feels very different, but yeah, that's a short summary about me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm Gemma, I'm in the careers team. And I focus on international student support now. So thank you. I want to say thanks, Naomi, for organising this, because we wouldn't have been able to organise this. So thank you very much. We have a fantastic new international alumni engagement manager now, who's building networks in the UK and overseas, which can help us with things like this. So please, when Naomi gets in touch, please do respond and get involved, because it's really nice things to get involved with. I'm so excited to be in this panel because Naomi asked me to come along, and I was so excited because I know the two of you. I know two of you from last year because I worked in COMSIS last year, supporting you guys, but not so much. I was working with employers more, yes, but we tried to help you. And I remember a few months ago only, you were both panicking, thinking you might not get your first job you wanted, and now you've got a fantastic job. So it's so exciting to see, and I can't wait to hear, Verad, about your story as well, because you were here just before I came. So let's not waste any time then. I'm going to go from left to right on the picture, and I'll ask you lots of questions, but students, please, we'll leave plenty of time for your questions as well at the end. Okay, so let's start with Verad then. Tell us about your current job, what you do, and tell us a bit about the company as well.
Definitely. As I said, recently joined EDF Energy UK. It's one of the top 4 energy companies across UK, even in Europe as well. To be honest, we've got like 5 million customers in the whole nation. 10 billion pounds or something. If you want me to talk about statistics, I can do that. But yeah, it's fun. I'm working in customers as a development analyst. It's kind of a hybrid job, I would say. I get to do data analyst stuff. I get to do business analyst stuff. And I also have to do some development to support the business and the customers. As you know, there are so many things involved when it comes to energy. It's just not you produce energy and you pay for it. No, it doesn't really work like that. So many models, so many forecasting methods that you need to apply to understand how the energy is generated and how the end user, the customer, is going to pay. So all of that we do it. At least we try to do it. I'm not experienced when it comes to data analysis, as I said. But previously, I worked in TCS, where I got a bit of experience in software development, and then I decided to do business analytics to just move into the analytics part, and here I am. So it's exciting, definitely exciting. There are lots of things to learn. Every day begins with a new challenge. There's always something that you will get stuck with, and then you get to talk to a lot of people, and that's something I like about my job.
How long have you been in the job?
It's been 8 months now with EDF.
8 months. So you're still learning, aren't you? But
Yes.
you must be settling in a bit now.
Yes.
So I was going to ask you what you did before, and you did software development, which I think is a common pattern amongst Corms's students, isn't it? That you often have worked in software development and then decide to branch out to data analytics. So do you think your previous experience has helped you with this role or helped you get the job?
I would say yes, in a way, but it definitely doesn't put you in a driving seat just because you have an experience. But yes, having something to do with the work that you've done before in software will definitely help you understand things in a quicker way. I would say yes. So 1.5 years of experience working for a bank in Netherlands definitely helped me drive the whole learning process in a quicker way when I joined EDF Energy, because it is like you need to know a bit about farming if you want to start farming job. You can't just say like, I just want to write a code and you'll start working on a code. No, it doesn't work like that. So yes, it definitely helped me.
Yeah, no, that's good. How did you, I suppose what everybody wants to hear about is how did you find and get the job? What was the process like?
Oh, I think it's an endless process. But this is my second job, to be honest, in the UK.
Okay.
Since I graduated from Southampton University. So I previously worked with the council, Bracknell Forest Council. That role was moreover focused on the performance analysis part, and I wanted to move to the data side or the development side. So I kept looking for different websites. I have got quite a few connections that I created when I was studying at the university. So it's all about keeping your eyes open, keep searching, keep looking for jobs, and find something you like and just keep applying, I'd say. Because current job market, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to apply for 10 jobs and I'm sure I'm going to get one out of 10. It's probably 1 out of 100 that you'll get a reply from. So it's just my advice would be to just keep your eyes open, make more connections and keep applying. And I'm sure you'll get one soon.
Yeah, it's good advice. It's a numbers game, isn't it? It's the same for all students, home students, everybody. You have to apply for loads. So your first role was a kind of a skilled role, really, wasn't it? It wasn't a graduate level role. It was a bit above. Is that right?
Yes.
So do you think, and I think from, working with a lot of Corms's students, that if you've done a master's like this and you have even a small amount of work experience, you probably have a better chance of getting a skilled role than one of the big grad schemes that are lower level where there's thousands of applicants. Do you agree with that?
I would say in that case, even I applied for graduate roles. So
yes. So how did you find that?
The whole process. As I said, having some sort of experience doesn't really put you into the driving seat when it comes to landing a job, but it definitely helps you when you get the job. So I would say no, it's a completely different thing. The whole job application and that period was, again, a tricky one for me, because as an international student, you have so many things to worry about. But you can't just say, enough, I have applied for enough jobs, I'll just wait for their response. No, every day is a new day. You just keep looking, keep searching, and one day you'll just get what you want.
Every day's got new jobs as well, hasn't it? So
True.
You don't want to stop because you might find your favorite one. Okay, so let's move on to the panel now, and then we'll come back round to you. Thank you. That was really interesting to hear. Thank you very much. I think it inspires everybody to hear such recent graduates really in such good jobs that you enjoy and applying what you learn on your course. So I'm going to come back round and ask about the application of what you learn on your course afterwards. But first of all, while this subject's fresh in our minds, let's move on to Anette now. So Anette, tell us about your current role at the University of Winchester, where me and Naomi both used to work. So we love that place.
Yeah. Yes. So I completed my master's by September end, and I started the job in October. So it's just been about 4 months that I'm into the role. And previously I worked in finance back in India. I worked at Bank of New York.
Yep.
And so getting into this role, but so speaking from my experience, so I was more into finance, and this was something data analytical role for me, so something new for me. And so that worked. I mean, the role is very interesting. So I'm working in finance and planning. So it's not just I have to do a single task every day that I get to work on. So it's every day different challenges and different projects that I get to work on, different people that I interact with, and understand how the entire university, how the business works, how the model is, about how students and enrollments and projections done in terms of enrollments, and what are the external factors affecting. And so given the recent landscape of the higher education, what are the challenges and how we can cut down on the operational costs. So in terms of, right in the title, it says about strategic projects. So I really get to work on some challenging aspects that currently universities face. And from a data perspective, I try to bring out insights from the data and help in a way and can project what are the strengths that we are currently standing with and what are the weaknesses and how we can overcome them. So giving a bit of a roadmap in terms of using data and giving those insights to the senior management. So that's currently where my role is currently, and I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn. It's just been 4 months and few of the projects that I'm working in.
Yeah, and there's not a big data analytics function there, is there at all, if any? I think, are you the first?
Not as such. I mean, I'm starting it from scratch sort of a thing. So I'm trying to build up that environment entirely and reaching out to people and understanding how we can use data and also helping them to understand how useful it will be them for and how we can automate things that have been done manually before, and how Power BI can help us, giving us a dashboard and giving us right KPI measures rather than just every time working on some Excel file and generating. So trying to automate that and bringing that culture of data driven insights or having decision making through data. That's also something new for me. Yeah.
Okay, and that's good. It's great exposure. Sometimes when you go with a smaller company, because Winchester's a small university, it's not a big name, you get massive exposure because you're often the only person doing a specific function, and you can just try things out, can't you?
Yes, that's right.
So don't rule out the little companies. So how did you find the job search process and the recruitment process, Anette?
So yes, this is really interesting. So one of the job adverts that was posted by Gemma, so big thanks to her. So all the ComSys,
glad you read them.
All the ComSys job listings that she used to share with us, so as to keep on a track and see what sort of where I can fit. And one of them, particularly about this role, it was when the email came out, I started applying. I filled out the application process, then I had a couple of interviews, a bit of Excel and coding task and Power BI, and then I finally got the offer, and with visa sponsorship, so that worked out really well for me.
Yeah, that was good. And university is, their application process is very different to the private sector. So all public sector, NHS, they sponsor a lot of visas, don't they? But their application process is very long, and you need to write these big applications. But it's really worth it, isn't it? Because they have a lot less applicants when you do that, because most people can't be bothered.
Exactly, yeah. That's where I understood, because it's also playing by your strategy and understanding your strength rather than just trying to hit aimlessly and just making applications. And so you have to play your strengths, where you can be, look at the number of applicants when you're applying, what sort of competition you're looking at, what sort of peer section that you will be competing with, what skills can help you get there. So these are also, so have a strategy in mind. I mean, that helped me for the first couple of months. It was just aimlessly applying, and I understood the game that this is not going to work. I need to have a better strategy, look out, have what works for me, understand where I'm suitable at, where I can remove that competition of just being in not top 10% of applicants, how I can work that game up. And that's how I think that helps a lot of people.
Yeah. You know, you're very analytically minded people, all of your students. So you should take this methodical approach to job search. You know, it really is a process that you need to approach methodically, step by step. And like Anette said, you know, consider the roles where you might have better chance, and, you know, go for some quick applications, but also do the longer ones as well.
Yes.
All good advice from you guys. Well, thank you, Anette. That was great to hear. You sound very happy. I'm very glad. We'll come back round. We'll come back round and talk more about the application of your course. Yes. But let's go to Abishek now and hear about your role. So I'm excited to hear about this role at Deloitte.
Hi, Gemma. So yeah, my role is into audit and assurance side of Deloitte. So Deloitte is one of the big four accounting companies. Uh, Accompanied by KPMG, PwC, and EY. So it's a professional services company, so having various lines spread across the world and whatnot. So not diving more in detail about the company as in place, but talking about the role. It's into I'm into a specialized team which is credit risk modeling. So we kind of build models. So these models are built for banks and other financial services companies. So basically, to talk about as a normal person who goes and keeps their money into banks, banks have a role or a responsibility that they keep up your money and they have adequate exposure to deal with maybe like diverse economic situations. So therein we come into the picture wherein we follow certain accounting standards, we follow certain regulatory requirements, and so that banks keep their regulations or keep their models well aligned with the regulatory standards, which covers not just a country but across the world. To be frank, so a lot of data is into the picture. So like what I like what so to go more in detail, I'll give a small summary as to what I did before I land this role. I was into a similar role back in India. So I worked for over 2 years in India with a rating agency. I was working as an analyst, so it was an analytical role itself. So coming here, my main focus was to get into a similar kind of role, of which experience I do have. Choosing the course was to kind of enhance myself, upskill myself technically, upskill myself with a sound business knowledge as well. So that really helped me, and I was always focused to go into a certain direction because I already had a good amount of experience into that. So the way I landed the job was through LinkedIn, basically. So I got in touch with one of the recruiters who hired for Deloitte. I got in touch with them, went through the process. It was a 2-month long process, to be frank, spanning across 4 interview rounds. And I started my work around in November. So it's been 3 months. So yeah, that's a small summary as to of my journey in Deloitte. But I would say this is some kind of a domain. Not a lot of people might have an idea about that. So all I would like to say is someone should not kind of limit their knowledge of data analysts to just that particular nomenclature. Uh, I would say it's not a niche field anymore. Data analyst or business analyst, I mean, the nomenclatures have widened, and they are across industries, sectors, and companies. And this I learned while during my MSc, when I used to research about a role or about a company. And a lot of people, a lot of students who kind of lack experience, so they were like, just running after 2 words or 3 words of those nomenclatures. But that's not the case. Things have really diverged, and there's a good opportunity if you go in the right direction. So that is one thing. Yeah, that's a short summary about my role at Deloitte.
Thank you. It's great to hear that you use LinkedIn and networked. So you contacted the internal recruiter for Deloitte.
Yes, I would say it was not that typical network I would call like that. It was basically a normal application. Trust me,
Oh, yeah.
it was basically a normal
Oh, they
application.
advertised on LinkedIn.
Yes, yes. But the only thing is, like I was like, because as a student, you apply on almost every portal, right? You go across Indeed, LinkedIn, you talk to your connections and everyone. But
Yeah.
what I gathered was on LinkedIn, there are a lot of data specific recruiting agencies, right? Who hire students, who hire people across the experience bandwidth, right? So this is another aspect that I think students should look up to, not just follow and just run behind connections, or go and apply on company's website, but there are these other paths as well, which are not very much explored, but one should keep their eyes open, because I believe most of those kind of roles, the very niche or very specific roles, these roles are hired through these agencies. They're not advertised on their website randomly, or you won't find a connection who's specifically into that particular role and he'll just come across and meet you. So I would say getting in touch with these kind of recruitment agencies works well, and one should explore them, and kind of, yeah, I mean, it's all about getting to learn new things and exploring new things. So yeah, that's one thing that I discovered while searching for my job.
That's really good. It's really good to hear that advice coming from a graduate, because recruitment agencies, I don't know what they're like overseas. In the UK, recruitment agencies, they charge the employer and completely free to the candidate. So there's no reason really not to use them. They can be a bit scary and intimidating when they try and push you to take a job you don't want. That's the only danger with them.
Yes.
But you just have to be firm and just tell them
Yeah.
what you want. That's all. But yeah, because they're trying to get you a job. They're working very hard to get you a job because they'll get some money for it. So
Yeah.
it's a very useful tool. There's also the contract route, isn't there? Everyone on this panel, the contract to temporary work, which I suppose people could use if they wanted to do the graduate visa for 2 years. You could contract to build your experience and get your connections, and then just hope that by the 2 years you'd get a permanent role, which is a very high chance because contractors often get converted, when you're good. Does any students have any questions? I'll ask now. If you haven't yet, I'll go round and ask some more questions. But let's see if any of the students have a question. Don't be shy. I'll give you a minute. And please, you can ask the question. You don't just need to put it into the chat. Please feel free to take yourself off mute or even put your camera on. We don't mind. Okay, while we're waiting, I'll ask another question then.
Hi.
If we go back to the... Oh, sorry, is there someone there? Hello.
Hello, Juma. We're on this side. Actually, I had certain questions.
Yeah,
I wish
please.
to ask. Actually, guys, someone just said that you went through recruiting agency. So how was the experience that like? Actually, I'm planning to use some recruiting agencies like Hayes recruiting agency somewhere in London or Manchester. Because I'm not keeping myself limited to London, because for London there is a lot of competition. And other than that, London is expensive, and there's some certain new immigration rules that are coming starting from April. So keeping that in mind, I'm keeping myself open to all over UK. So, but I want to know how recruiting agencies, like how's the process is like. If you can share further details about that.
Yes, sure. I'll take this. So first of all, I mean, it's good that you're open across the UK. I mean, you shouldn't be kind of, not take up roles which are located at some place, right? And jobs in London, they pay you differently compared to other parts of the UK. Okay, so that can be taken care of. The important thing is that we should land a job. I mean, and the place can take care of itself. Now, talking about recruitment agencies, see how they work is, like suppose Gemma is a company, right? She wants to hire for a role. I'm the agency, right? and she tells me, I want to hire for a data analyst. The experience should range for around from 2 to 5 years, and these are the qualities that I want from a person, right? My responsibility is to screen those candidates and give it to Gemma, and then she's the one who will take the interviews. By doing so, Gemma is saving a time, right? Not spending too much of resources on, I mean, their own resources. I mean, kind of hiring a third party to just screen the candidates. But the hiring will be taken care by Gemma itself, because I mean, she's the one who's, I mean, her company is the one which is hiring for that particular position. But as the scene is, I mean, as a I mean, potential employee, you are not the one who's supposed to pay for that. I mean, that's the litmus test. Like if someone tells you, that there's a role and you need to pay some amount. I mean, that just really does not work. I mean, you don't have to pay anything. It's the company that pays them, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is, uh, you talked about Hayes and other recruitment agencies which hire people across domain. I'm talking about only those recruitment agencies, or I focus on those recruitment agencies which hire only for data analysts or for analytic related roles, because I do not want it to kind of run for those I mean, companies which hire for across the segment, because then I mean, I'm just a number in their list. That's it. So I focused on that. And another way how one can get touches, like for example, there's a recruitment agency called Harnum. If you have heard of it. Hanum is, they specialize in kind of recruiting for CS roles and analytical roles, right? So if you get, what you can do is get in touch with their HRs or their consultants, okay? Put forward your profile, your work, your CVs, okay? And if they have any role that is under their domain which suits your profile, they might introduce you to that. Okay, but the only thing that they do is just take your role, and if they find that it suits their client, they'll forward it to their client. But ultimately, the main decision lies with the client, whether they want to take you ahead for the interviews or not. But that is one of the way where you can eliminate the referral part, because you're already coming through someone, so you don't need a referral for that. Because to be very frank, referrals don't always work. I mean, everyone talks about referrals and connections. I mean, it doesn't work. It doesn't really work like that, because you have to start from the very beginning, and it's only you who's going to have to clear it. So I would also like to focus on what Aniket said, to being more specific to your strategies. Eliminate whatever you think, this is going to work, that is going to work, until and unless you come up with a personalized strategy that suits your role, aligns your role, or aligns your profile to something that you're looking for. That is where you're going to get a result, irrespective you're applying directly to the company, or through universities, career facilities, or through randomly applying on LinkedIn like me. So it's important to have a strategy and kind of align your profile to the job roles that you're looking for. I mean, that is one thing, which I thought Aniket said, which really makes sense. That's what one should do.
Yeah. Anything to add to the other guys? Thank you, Abishek. It's really good advice.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you so much for your response.
Thanks, Biom. I hope it helps.
Yeah, it has definitely given me some direction to move in, and I will definitely look into it.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Okay, we have a few more questions here. Okay, somebody's asking how would you highlight your strengths in your CV, and well, this is very general, how you strengthened your strategy for applying for jobs. So we've covered the strategy a bit. Has any of you guys got any tips on highlighting strengths in your CV that you found worked?
Aniket, you want to take that?
That's okay.
No, I was just thinking, because remember we had this conversation back in
Yes.
September. It's about we've observed. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Abhishek or Aniket. The white space should be as small as possible. The resume should be as compact as you can make it. And it's not just about adding those keywords into your resume. You can't just say Python, like put it random anywhere. You can't just say that. oh, I'm good at Python. No, you need to put something that actually demonstrates that you've worked on something which was a part of your day-to-day work at some company or your project or something like that. And it actually demonstrates that, okay, you've done something with Python or with using Python as a developing language. That's how you should put it in words. You can't just make a list of soft skills and hard skills and say, oh, I know Python, I know R, I am good at communication. It doesn't work like that. So that would be something to when I was at the university, I remember speaking to someone from the facilities, and the person mentioned uh, about the white space. And if you can make your resume not more than one page long, just keep it simple, keep it to the point. Don't put the words or the sentences that don't really have to be there. So, for example, you can say you don't have to write a story. You can put everything in bullet points and make it up to the mark. That would be something. It's really important because as a recruitment agency or someone who's sitting on the other side of the table, they're not going to read the book. They just need to know whether you have got those skills or not, and whether they want to go ahead with your application.
Yeah, they haven't got time to read 100 books, have they?
No.
You've got such good insight to the process. You sound like you've been on the other side, recruiting, but it's true. The way you've delivered this advice is very simple and straightforward and very easy to understand. It's good. Someone's asked if you can apply for a data analytics internship without skills of software skills. What would you think, panel?
It shouldn't stop you from doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So adding on to what it said, I'll just say, so I'm someone from a finance background. I didn't have any Python experience as such, or I did not work into data analytics. So it was an entry-level role for me as well. So rather than what role or what the skill set was required, I focused on what sort of learning abilities that I can show that I'm trying to reach to that role, rather than working on the projects that I can get into for a data analytical role. And more than technical aspects, it's always to understand what's behind those numbers and how you can drive insights and connect them to the real world problems. So it's just not about using Python is as good as until and unless you know what to derive out of it. You can do a lot of coding and but until and unless you don't have an objective of what, you don't have the clarity of that problem that you're solving, that won't help. So work on projects, work on your emotional intelligence as well when you're looking at things. That's very important, I felt, rather than just working on your technical skills. That does really help. And someone also talked about how we can improve, how you can highlight your strengths in your CV. So one of the factors that I used was the format of whenever you're writing your work experience or whenever you're describing your projects or anything, write it in the format of challenge, action, and result, CAR, that format, so you can tell what the challenge is about, what steps you took, and what was the impact, and keep it quantifiable. Add some numbers into it, that there were about 10,000 of rows. I analyzed them, got about 10% improvement in the overall project success. Or keep it quantifiable, show a real impact that you made in terms of. And yes, these are the basic steps. And I mean, we are in the world of ChatGPT. I know we all know that what the applications we had to do, it used to take an hours long, but now we have ChatGPT. We can get that application done within few minutes and 10 minutes. So it is a high chance that your cover letter matches with someone else as well, because that's the same AI generating the same cover letter for everyone. So don't keep assured on that. Try to personalize it. Look for the role, read it, write down the keywords, relate how you can write it down in your cover letter, and personalize it. That does really help. In all the application feedbacks that I've received from number of recruiters, it's always been that your personal touch that really matters as to why do you really want this role. So that has been my experience for it. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Lots more people are going to be using ChatGPT with the same old. Imagine reading 100 of the same cover letters. That would be so boring, wouldn't it? Just going to become a big problem. Okay, so someone's saying, what are a few of the things you need to get in place before applying? I mean, obviously the CV, a LinkedIn profile you mentioned, Abishek.
Yes.
Get it ready before you go on there so that when people look at you, it's up to scratch.
Yeah, I would say like before applying for a role, I mean, you should be sure that you want to apply for that role, most importantly. Um, like as Aniket mentioned, your CV, or whatever the application process that you're going, whatever you're putting into it, your CV, your cover letters, it has to be personalized. It has to be very much specific to the role that you're applying. You cannot go on with the same CV and apply for two roles, although they might have the same title, but you have to make sure that you put in the efforts, you put in some hours, and then you apply for the role. I would say the things that you need is like, yeah, a good CV. I mean, take help of the facilities at the university. Make sure that you get your CVs checked by professionals, right? You might get a better insights on that, or you might be going in a right direction, and someone might just fine tune it to, I mean, to just get you knocking up that at that door. Make sure the cover letters are very important, especially if someone is into the bandwidth of 0 to 2 years of experience. For them, cover letter makes a huge impact, because you don't have that much of technical experience per se, but your cover letter acts as, as a reference for your motivation for that role. Because as a recruiter, I mean, for someone who's just right want to step into the corporate zone, the recruiter knows that you might not technically know everything about the job, or you might not know exactly what it is to do. But what they want to assess is whether you want or you're willing to learn or not. I mean, that's a personality, right? You have to showcase that you are adaptable, and you really relate with the role, and that is when the process will go advanced to the next level. It's not just the technical skills, it's a holistic approach that you need to take to counter that. And yeah, and make sure that, so emphasize on your cover letters, that really helps. Also, make sure your LinkedIn is like up to date, it's updated. It's good because we do put our links right in our CVs, and I have never heard a recruiter who has called me up for interview without having checked my LinkedIn. So that plays a crucial role. So make sure your professional space is up to date, and it shouldn't be a very fancy or that kind of a thing. It just has to be specific. So focus on specificity rather than anything else. Keep it short, keep it simple, and to the point. That's it.
Thank you. That's excellent advice again. And Anette, thank you. I just remembered that you taught me car, not star, which is actually much better. So thank you. It's much better because the acronym STAR that people often follow for this, evidence. It's really hard for me to learn to think of the differentiate the task with the situation. And you're right, especially if English is your second language, a challenge is much more simple and it's got the same result. So yeah, that's a really good tip, and I'm going to learn from that and use that in my my international workshops. Thank you. I use it forever now, and it was you that taught me that. I do remember that. Okay, so there's a popular question. What, sorry?
No, just I said thank you. Yeah.
It's good. It's brilliant advice, that is. Everybody, I think, wants to hear about your interview experience. So I think we'll go around the whole panel with that. So yeah, Verad, if we start with you again, please just give us some insights to what the interview was like.
Okay. Just wanted to add something to what Abishek mentioned. Whilst you are making sure that you're showing how motivated you are in your cover letter, please don't lie about the things that you don't know about, because it will show when it comes to interviews, because they know how to ask questions, because it's all linked. Even if you say you know something, and when it comes to the actual interview section, the recruiters are going to ask you questions, and they will assess whether you have a bit of experience, or whether you're willing to learn, or whatever the projects you have done, are they really relevant, or whether you have done some work or not. So yeah, going back to your question, sorry. Interviews. I take that's my personal way of dealing with interviews. I don't consider them as something very different from a normal conversation, and that really helps me. I'll just be honest. I'll keep talking about the things that I'm supposed to, but of course you can't just go on blabber things that you're not supposed to. You just need to keep yourself in lane and talk about the things. But as long as you're making yourself comfortable with and considering as just a conversation, I think that helps. But it's again a perspective. I don't think it works for everyone, because you will feel the nervousness, you'll feel the anxiety just before getting into that interview meeting. My interview with EDF, again, as Abishek said, I applied in February for this role. I got an interview in April end, and I started the job in July. So it's a really long process, but you just have to be patient. And when it comes to the actual day of interview, you will get certain things to prepare for. It can either be a task, as Anette mentioned. It can be a Power BI development work or something related, or something related to your previous experience that you need to discuss with the recruitment panel. And be honest what you have done, what all things you can do. And the personal touch, the motivation to learn things is really important, not just in the initial process of writing a CV or the cover letter, but when it comes to actual conversations, the actual interview. You need to show that you're really interested in that role and how you can do well, or how you're willing to learn to help yourself, the business to grow. And that's at the end of the day, it's not just about working on something, it's just about learning something every day and making a change, making a difference to something. So I don't know, maybe the train has fallen off the track, but this is my advice.
No, that's all good. That's all good, because it's good to hear about different experiences of interviews. Every company's different, every panel's different, every hiring manager's different. Some people are really not confident with interviewing. Some of the questions aren't very good. You just have to be prepared, and like you were saying, prepare your evidence.
Strategic.
Yeah, strategic, like you said, always strategic and methodical. Anette, I'm guessing because you went through a university recruitment process, it's what's called competency-based interviewing, where they use past evidence as an indicator of future behaviour. So I know that you would have had to come up with these examples in your interview. So tell us about your experience of that interview that you had with Winchester.
Definitely. So first and foremost, it, as you said, was a big, long application, and there were a number of questions that I had to answer. And given that, so completing that with attaching your resume, that's when I got to know about the entire process, when I spoke to my manager, he said to me that your resume comes very last to us. It's your application process and your details that matter to us foremost. And when you get screened out of it, that's when the resume comes to us, and that's when we get to know. And based on the entire experience so far, what I've understood is that there's a checklist of your keywords or the job essentials that they have. So if you can create your own checklist, so whenever there's job description that comes out, there are definitely going to be skills that are essential, and there are going to be skills that are desired. So it's a game of that, how many checklist ticks that you can make in the terms of essential and the ones in desired. So as long as you keep on checking all the tick boxes, and you make sure that you have certain personal skill set that you can attach to those checklists and give an examples based on it, and make sure that you're using those keywords in all sorts of questions that you're answering when it's specifically based on competency based interviews. So be problem solving. So how did I do that problem solve? So when you mention something about a problem solved, you're checking that tick box, moving on to the next checklist. So there's someone measuring that, or there's someone judging you based on that. It's just a simple game of that checklist. So if you can master that checklist of how I can, and you cannot give the similar examples in all of the situations. You have to try to understand how different examples can cover all the aspects of the job description that has been posted. That's what the employer is looking for. And I'm sure I would say that Verad and Abishek would agree to this, that there's no single formula that works. I mean, we all had 3 different things that we tried out and it worked different for us. I mean, Abhishek got job from a different channel. Verad got it from a different channel. I did it from, and there's no single strategy that I could follow. I mean, I was talking to Verad as being a senior, that I used to reach out to him that this is the next job that I'm looking at. And he used to help me in helping me to prepare for my interviews. And so I understood it's just talking to people, understanding how the market is and how you can play your strengths and just keep on applying, but also not in a way to just apply, have a personal, real motivation of what strength that you can play with. That's where the game lies, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's true. Excellent advice again. Thank you. And 2 very different experiences. And I'm guessing, Abhishek, your experience was probably very different as well, with such a big company, big corporate. How did they interview? Tell us.
Yes. First like speak about the Deloitte's interview process. One thing I would like to emphasize was we talked about the application thing, we talked about job search, we talked about everything, but the most important part is interview preparation. I think one should, start preparing for the interviews. When you prepare for the interviews, you actually realize, which jobs you actually are good, good for applying. I mean, the roles are at times it's very overwhelming, right? But once you start preparing yourself, align your interest, your experience, and the modules that you're studying at the MSc level, that helps you to kind of curb down that bandwidth and focus, or get you on a track. To talk about my interview experience, I applied at Deloitte in June 2023. I got my offer towards the end of September. So it was a very long process, and trust me, it was very tiring. Or emotionally, it was kind of draining, because you also have to prepare for your dissertations. You have your coursework at the universities, and you have to prepare for the interviews. But make sure that you align things well or with each other, to kind of, so that one thing helps the other. uh, Talking about the interview process, I had 4 round of interviews. First one was like, these bigger companies, what they do is, first round is generally they try to see if you fit in the company's culture. That's what they try to check, so that, they filter out people from there. So that was first round. The second round is where the game begins. So the second round it was over Zoom. It was a 1 hour of technical interview, where I was interviewed by a senior manager and a manager. And depending upon the role, you're like, as Aniket mentioned, like, you have a set of desired skills, and what one should must have. So building on that, it was very technical, to be precise. Talking a lot about models, what I've learned in my MSc, talking about my previous experience from a technical point of view, assessing my knowledge of finance, of data analytics, of some models, of machine learning models. So it was composed of that. So that was my first round. It was quite gruesome, to be frank, for me, because I, like, within a blink of an eye, that hour was passed, and I was like, I'm done. This is going to lead me nowhere now. But luckily, preparation is something that really helps you in those tough times. You cannot just apply and sit without a thorough preparation. Then came the third round, which was a technical round again, but that was a coding round. So and plus a presentation round as well. So there was coding on R, Python, and then I had to prepare a short presentation on one of the financial accounting standard that is there, and align my model with that. And after clearing that round was my final interview with the director of my team, wherein he, like, it was just a normal. Once you go through the last round, you are pretty sure that you're going to land the offer. So it was more of kind of, getting to know me, uh, uh, tell me or update me about, what the demand is from me for this role, and giving me a brief idea about the role, about what the future looks like, about the company as a whole in a more descriptive or more personalized way. And yeah, that's it. After that, a couple of weeks later, I got my offer letter, and yeah, I started my working from November 20th of November to be specific. So it was a good process. But yeah, I mean, prepare for the interviews from the beginning. I mean, don't wait once you get that nod from the HR that your application is shortlisted. Don't start your preparation then. Start you're preparing now, because that is what is going to help you to get that email on the first. So yeah.
That sounds like a quite intense interview process.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's going to be with a big company like that, isn't it? Well done. Your next interviews will all be easy now as you move on in your careers. It's always your first graduate roles that are really hard to secure. Okay, so someone's asking about specific names of recruitment agencies. I think if you do have any good ones, if you could put them in the chat at the end or whenever, that would be great. Yeah. Because I'm always looking for the names of good recruitment agencies to signpost students to, because there's so many agencies and you can't tell by their name really whether they're good or not. You can't tell what they do for a start. You can't always tell their specialism, unless they're called Data Spark or something. But you also can't tell whether they're good. So any recommendations, because there's some very bad agencies out there. So any recommendations is really useful. So yeah, if you know any good ones, please let us know.
Actually, I would just like to add this over here to just make everyone's life a bit easier. That on LinkedIn or maybe on Indeed, I mean, look for the people who are posting that job. Okay. So the recruitment agency, they post directly, like one of the HRs or the consultants, they'll post it, and then go on to their page. Okay, right after there's a job description, there's a section, right, who has posted the job. Go on that person or that organization's page, look for that, go on their website, right? Look at the number of listings that they have made in a month, or their recent postings, and then that's how you start researching or get shortlisting it. Trust me, like with respect to recruitment agency, I mean, don't just emphasize on that. I mean, that's not the only way to land a role. Like as everyone mentioned, everyone has their own. Everyone has a different path, right? No one is going to take the same path and get the same result. That's just one of the way. But like referrals, don't again just emphasize on recruitment agencies. I mean, there are multiple channels, but the only way, like with respect to recruitment agencies, look for people who are posting their roles on LinkedIn or on Indeed. Go to their page, research about them, search about them, and get in touch with those people. And yeah, that's it. But yeah, it's the same as referrals. I mean, nothing is changes. Things are difficult, but the thing is to keep preparing and keep pushing.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's just one part of the strategy, isn't it? Recruitment agencies, but it's worth using it. Okay, we've got 5 minutes left, and we have one more question. Tips for graduates with no experience. I would say try and get some experience in terms of internships, placements, and the Cormsys projects. And what would you guys add? Any tips?
I agree with Abishek. Don't be ashamed to ask questions to anyone in that case, not just the panel or when you're applying for a job. Reach out to those people who are actually posting hiring for those jobs. Don't be ashamed to ask for help from your seniors, from your fellow students, from Gemma and the whole team. Because it's like if you're spending a certain amount of money and your time learning for this master's degree or anything, why you shouldn't resent yourself from asking for help when you're struggling. Even if you're not struggling, it's always good to make more connections and talk about things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so just finally, someone's asked if you wouldn't mind sharing your LinkedIn. Of course, that's up to you, panel.
Sure.
Students, feel free to
Sure, we'd
connect
love
with
to.
me. I use my LinkedIn just for work, so it is. I'm happy to connect with students. I will have an international tailored bespoke career support program coming out in March, and it will involve a series of workshops, and then it will lead to an international talent community that I want to build with students helping each other with job search, which will involve LinkedIn groups per sector, I think. I haven't fully decided how it's going to look, but it will be out very soon, so keep your eyes out for it. We'll probably pilot it with the business school anyway, because you guys are so keen, and yeah, hopefully you can all get involved, and we'll closely link with it's much better to get careers advice from people that have just been through the process. It's really useful for students, so thank you. Yeah, Naomi, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to say that was just really jam-packed with amazing tips. I feel really inspired, and just from your kind of resilience and how you find yourself in really great jobs today. And I hope that will just encourage students that are beginning that kind of journey to find their roles, and maybe they can watch us back, because there was so much in this panel today, so much really useful information. So thank you so much for that. And we have our e-mentoring scheme where you can link up with alumni mentors, just asking them questions on, you know, how to get into the industry. So please, yeah, please join us on e-mentoring as well. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to Gemma for hosting, and yeah, I hope you just find it really, really useful.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks students for coming along. And it's lucky we recorded it, because you're right, there was so much good stuff in there from the panel. I might even watch it back. But yeah,
Thank you so much
guys.
thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much.
Having
having
us,
us.
yeah.